and they'll just say the heck with it. It's easier to maintain manufacturer part number for purchasing, for
Yeah.
part swaps, for inventory management, for picking and kitting onto work orders. So they may even pivot and use manufacturer part number. Others use the customer part number itself, and they just rely purely on whatever their customer says.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hey, happy Friday, and thank you so much for being generous with your time. I know that this is going to be a very exciting webinar. And for attendees, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining from. Just to kick off the conversation, I would love to hear from you all. And my question is going to be very easy. The only thing I need to know is what you had for your breakfast, wherever you have joined from, or dinner, if you are joining late in the evening. So whatever you have, I'm very hungry right now. I don't know about you, Tanner. If you are...
I'm all set and ready to go. I'm in Austin, Texas, which is the breakfast taco capital of the world, apparently.
Yeah.
I had a delicious breakfast taco, so I'm ready to go.
Okay, perfect. And I don't know if there are going to be any sort of disagreements in the audience about the breakfast taco capital of the world. If you have disagreement, please, post your comments and questions. So I think we have Jen in the audience. Hello, Jen. Thank you so much for joining. And everybody, if we could hear something from you as well, that would be great. A couple of points from the logistics perspective. These webinars we are hosting every Friday at 11 a.m. Sometimes we move around depending upon the time zone, etc. Sometimes they could be on Wednesday as well. Right now, our goal is to have at least one webinar per week, but we might be doing more frequently. The best way to learn about these webinars is always be subscribed on our newsletter. Obviously, if you're interested in that, as well as LinkedIn feed, make sure you hit the bell button. Sometimes, otherwise it's hard to get notification because these days the visibility is really low, I guess, for LinkedIn posts. So those will be some of the options that you might want to follow overall, from the webinar perspective. So for today, we have a very interesting webinar focusing on the electronics manufacturing industry, and Tanner is an amazing guest. So Tanner, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit and talk about, CTech.
Yes, absolutely. So, of course, again, everyone, thank you for your time. I appreciate it from wherever you are hailing in the world today. Thanks for jumping on. Again, my name is Tanner. I'm the director of sales at CTech. I've been with CTech almost 10 years now. So it's been a great journey for me. It's been a great journey for our company. We're excited the direction that we're headed. I'm excited to chat with you all today. Excited to show you CTech. What you're going to see today is going to be maybe a little bit different than you were anticipating. I'm going to show you what the CTech software looks like, but then we'll also do a little bit of day in the life of using CTech too. We are a full suite manufacturing tool. So everything from CRM, lead acquisition, quoting, BOM management, engineering, down through production and inventory and quality and accounting and document management. The list goes on and on. And though we have an hour today, we'll capture we'll cover a lot of ground here, and it'll be good to cover what we offer. And certainly, Sam, as you noted, we'll be sure to put everything through the lens and perspective of what an electronics manufacturer does in CTech ERP.
Okay, perfect. So whenever you are ready, we can start. And I did get the sneak peek, I guess, before the show, and based on my recollection, Tanner, I don't know when I had seen CTech interface before, but it does look very modern. So I'm very excited to see it again. And hopefully you can show us a little bit more about the electronics manufacturing, how it is going to be unique, what kind of features you have, what you have seen from your experience with competing solutions, and what your customers love, I guess, of CTech as well. So yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I'll share my screen here in a moment. Let me give some more context to the electronics manufacturing and CTech in general. So
Yeah.
more context about our company. We've been around since the mid 70s. We were originally a legacy based, mainly just distribution software in the early to mid 70s. And then around the 70s and 80s, many distribution companies decided, well, we're also going to do a little bit of value add and kit assembly, right? So then like the small inklings of electronics manufacturing begun. This was all on the West Coast for us. And then throughout the 80s and 90s, we grew more into a manufacturing and distribution platform. Fast forward a little bit to 2008, 2009, our current owners of the company, Taylor Wagon and Brenton Barton, they purchased the company from the previous owners after working there for 10 years themselves. And they're still our current owners. And they said, you know what? This CTech software is great. We have great history in distribution, manufacturing, accounting. Let's just rewrite it into something a bit more modern, easier to use, easier to grow, easier to scale, easier to implement, and let's make it accessible for a lot of different people. We find ourselves really falling into electronics manufacturing because a lot of what we've written over the decades has spoken a lot of those languages. Moreover, a lot of our history as well, not just in electronics, but also in specific verticals that require high levels of traceability and control. Think aerospace and defense, medical device, right? Those type of industries and verticals that require lots of traceability, lots of visibility, high levels of control. We find ourselves falling under that, and you'll certainly see a lot of that today as well.
Okay, amazing. So definitely looking forward to seeing that. Okay, so we have a question from the audience, and Dan is asking, I guess, Tanner, what size customers do you focus on, and what's the tech stack? Is it cloud, on-prem, or both?
Yeah, great question. So it is either. We're agnostic. Our default is Google Cloud for most of our customers. Our customers that fall into those highly regulated industries, we have a Microsoft Azure instance. It's still a cloud instance that you would use to make sure you're following those CMMC guidelines. Otherwise, you can be on-prem. If you have your own server, we can install it no problem as well. The tech stack is pretty wide. LAMP stack, open source technology. There's a lot of kind of very standard CSS, template toolkit, HTML type background there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another question.
Size customers, I guess. I mean, he wanted, I think you did touch on tech stack and on-prem, etc. I think size is probably
customers.
another.
Yeah. We're healthy anywhere between 5 and 500 employees. The company start with us in 2018. They had 3 employees. They were a wire harness manufacturer, 3 ex-Air Force guys who were working for Sierra Nevada. And they said, you know what, we're getting these harnesses we're trying to install from these subcontractors. They quit their job at Sierra Nevada. They started their own wire harness company, and they've been using CTech since 2018. Now they have over 100 employees, they have facilities in 3 states here in the U.S. So they've done a great job of scaling. So we're anywhere within a broad scale there. Again, 5 to 500 is usually what we say there.
Okay, perfect. And guys, keep those questions coming. They are amazing. We would love to touch on them. Chenna, so if you want to share your screen. Okay, it's coming right now. Yeah, it's perfect. I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So CTech we're a web-based software default. So what we have here is you'll see me click around today. You'll see me navigate today, but it's like any other web browser, right? I'm logged in with a username and a password. All I need to do is start to search for something like a customer record, for example, right? Or if I'd like to search for a part number, I can search for a part number, and all I have to do is simply click on that part number and it'll take me there. I can search for an order number. I can search for an invoice. Very, very simple. Now, CTech is a big system, as I mentioned. We do cover everything from quote to cash, yet it's all integrated. So when I say we have all of these modules and departments, you must forgive me, that's very tech speak. All that is just to say, well, your sales team members, they're likely going to exist in the sales area here where they will maintain their leads and their customers. They may put in forecasts and review their reports. They'll enter new quotes, new bids, whether you're a contract manufacturer where every quote is unique, or you just simply create an order because you're a repeat manufacturer and you just make the same things over and over again. Or maybe you're in the accounting department. And yes, I need to go to accounting in order to see my P&L or my balance sheet or my chart of accounts and my ledger. So yes, CTech is a big system. I will be an admin user today, someone who can do everything. Just know full well when you sign up for CTech and you get up and going, We'll make sure each one of your employees, they log into the platform as well. Yet we'll give some roles and permissions so that way we know to hide what they can see and can't see in CTech, right? So just know that we'll cover your ground there as well. So
Okay, so
that's
just
somewhat the
1 second,
baseline.
Tanner. I think we
Yeah.
have a comment here, and
Yeah.
we want to make sure we are addressing that
Mhm.
for not just for Sam, but for everybody as well. I think
Yeah,
he
of
is
course.
having some sort of sound issues. So I don't know, Sam, if you are experiencing this for both of us or just one of us. If you could confirm that, we'll sincerely appreciate. As well as in the audience, if you guys can confirm, if you guys are able to hear us properly, then we would know whether it is really with Sam or with everybody, I guess. So can
Mhm.
we get some feedback from anybody in the audience? Okay, so we'll wait for that. For the time being, Tanner,
Mhm.
keep going. And I don't know if you're going to focus a little bit more on, how your parts and manufacturing is structured. Obviously, we
Yep.
would love to know that to see,
Yes.
how your parts sort of correlate and other data sets.
Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of where we head next is that's the overview of CTech. That way you get a little bit comfortable of where I'm going, how I'm going to navigate, and how all this connects. A thing that you'll note, a big theme of today, though we'll focus on the electronics manufacturing side of things, a big theme of today that CTech has a lot of breadth to the platform. I mean, it's a broad system to cover all of your departments, yet we'll also feel a lot of depth in the platform, meaning we could probably, Sam, if we wanted to, we could
Yeah.
probably spend 45 minutes on engineering process alone today, or 45 minutes on inventory control or document management. So we'll somewhat oscillate. We'll get into some details here and there, but just know that CTech is a very healthy and big system that allows you to control both breadth of the platform and depth. Yet we'll find today it's very, very easy to use, right? So
Okay.
go
Perfect.
ahead.
So I do have some
Mhm.
feedback here.
Yeah.
So Sam, unfortunately, it does seem like that the issue is probably at your end. So I don't know if you want to debug a little bit, maybe
Hmm.
try to log out and log back in. But we have confirmation from the audience that they are able to hear us. Okay. Sorry for
Okay.
hijacking, Tanner. Over to you.
Oh, no worries at all. And this is being recorded, right, Sam?
It is being recorded. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that way everyone can go back and view it afterward.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So just to reground ourselves, I'm simply on my homepage dashboard within
Yeah.
CTech ERP. I have all these quick links to go to order pulse reports or backlog reports or invoice tables and so forth. But as you mentioned, Sam, I do want to focus first on part management, BOM management within CTech ERP. So CTech, the heart of CTech, the beginning of CTech or the catalyst really, it is your bill of materials. It's your part item master. Now I
Yeah.
have a tab open here. I'm going to jump to a new tab. Can everyone still see me here? I'm on a new tab, still in CTech. You got me?
Yeah. I,
Okay,
I can see it.
fantastic.
Yep. Yep.
So I've got a part item master. This is TLA 2000. Customize your own part numbers and your own descriptions. This is a box build. This could easily have been a wire harness or a cable assembly, or you name it. We have plenty of customers in satellite or satcom in general. All of your part items are customizable. Notice as well, we do a great job of maintaining not just your top level items, but as this is a bill of materials, we even maintain sub-assemblies. So sub-assemblies within sub-assemblies within sub-assemblies is certainly supported. And then all of your component parts beneath that are item masters themselves in the platform. So if I were to scroll down and maybe see an easier like table view of this would be a quick link to say, well, let me go take a look at this part item master and
Yeah.
what I have to do with this part. This one happens to be a bill of material, so I'm seeing a nice overview of this item.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, this is really pretty. I don't think I have seen as pretty, BOM overview from any other
Mhm.
ERP system. So great job there. Now, some questions I'm
Thank you.
probably going to ask for my audience. I'm pretty sure they
Mhm.
are going to have these questions.
Mhm.
So tell us if this BOM also includes routing or are these just materials? That is number one question. And how
Mhm.
many levels deep can you go? Have you seen with your customers that is probably running live? So those two.
Yes. So how many levels deep? I like to say I dare you, because we have plenty of customers who are dozens and dozens and dozens deep. Last I checked, we have a customer that's somewhere in the like 75 subassembly level deep on their items. So we support almost virtually anything there. So no worries there. Now You're exactly right, Sam. This is not just a part item. Yes, it's good. It does look good, very consumable and easy. But
Yeah.
we like to say that though I'm looking at one screen, nothing in CTech is just simply a silo. It's not something that's just here. So
Yeah.
this is a part item master with components. But more importantly, this is a part item master that we maintain revisions for. And I'm currently on revision 4. That's
Yeah.
my current rev of this item. And if I were to take a peek at all of my revisions and simply click on the revisions of the part, I would see that I actually maintain 5 revisions. Now, to answer your question, Sam, absolutely. Each revision has its own unique bill of material and its unique, what we call a labor plan. And a labor plan is the anticipated traveler or router or work instructions for the item master. And again, not just the item master, the revision of the
Yeah.
item master, right? Great question.
So generally, when you look at this revision, and obviously the BOM and labor plan is in a separate column, and then BOM is highlighted as separate. So is labor plan part of the BOM, or is it part of revision and attached separately? And these are
It
different design
is,
principles, right? Because they have different implications. Every ERP is different. I mean, they treat differently. But knowing that would help, Tanner.
yeah. So the labor plan and the BOM are both nested equally within the revision. So as we see it visually,
Yeah.
revision 1 maintains a BOM and a labor plan, and
Okay.
those two changes, edits, maintenances themselves fall under revision 1. Now, I'll go one step further and say you maintain the detail and the status of these revisions. You
Yeah.
can see here revision 1 and 2 I've flagged as obsolete, meaning
Yeah.
these are older revisions or these are historic revisions. And revisions 3 and 4 are active, and revision 5 is pending, meaning my engineering team is likely working on revision
Yeah.
5,
Yeah.
but it may not be ready for production. So we put some gate systems in place to ensure that salesperson couldn't accidentally quote revision 5 because we're still working on it.
Yeah, so this is very interesting. So I'm going to have some more follow-up questions there. And
Yeah.
guys, in the audience, you guys are probably going to have much deeper questions than what I am asking. So I would love to see some comments and questions from your side.
Mhm.
But I guess the question I'm going to have is, Tanner, what we have seen with different ERP systems, some of them mandate revision number, some of them don't, and they have different implications in terms of what is possible based on those two scenarios. So in this case, since your BOM and labor plan is sort of different instances, I guess, and then you have the inspection plan as well that does not seem to be mandatory and not captured at the BOM level. So here the revision number is probably going to be mandatory, right? Because you have,
Absolutely.
right, so revision number is always mandatory, and once you have the revision number, then only you are going to have BOM. Otherwise you cannot use BOM independently, I believe, right?
Correct. That's right. That's
Okay.
exactly right. You're spot on.
Okay.
The labor plan and furthermore the inspection plan, which is really just the quality details nested under the item, those are not required, but the fact that you need a revision, that's what actually maintains the BOM, is required. Now, I will highlight a few other things here. CTech is also a document management system where
Yeah.
you can see on my left-hand navigation, I have 9 documents. And as a quick glance over here, my documents that I upload, first, they're very easy to upload. It's like a drag and drop, or I can click browse and upload something from my computer. Or if your team, whoever's listening in, if you already have a very secure, easy to maintain server of documents that's maybe local to your facility, you can just add a hyperlink to that file server area and it'll act the same as a point to that document. Now, I bring up documents because you not only upload documents, you upload documents and then tie them to revisions. As you can see, this CSV file was uploaded and it was linked or tied to revision 1. This is also how we maintain document uploads. This is how we maintain downflow information from a part item master maintains the BOM and maintains the traveler. It maintains documents. So when we get to production later on down the line, we'll see that all of this engineering control, by way of revision management, flows down to the shop floor and to other areas of the platform as well.
Yeah.
Now,
Very interesting. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
I
Keep
want to
going.
make
Yeah.
another comment on revisions here.
Yeah.
Recall, I'm an admin user. I can do whatever I want. I can whimsically add revision 6 and create a new revision, and it's very easy for me to do that, right? However, CTech ERP also introduces some engineering controls if you'd like, meaning we can require that you create an ECO, an engineer change order, that allows you to outline the process of why I have changed from revision 4 to revision 5, or from revision 5 to revision 6. That ECO, or some of you may just call it an ECN, allows you to document the reason for changes. It gives you a BOM comparison to see the differences from 4 to 5. It allows you to create sign-offs and required sign-offs for different employees, and has a complete workflow for the ECO itself. So now we're taking something that you may be doing offline or on an Excel spreadsheet, and we're embedding that into CTech. And then one more thing here that makes us very unique and makes us a great controlled ERP manufacturing and engineering system is you can tie those revision changes. Again, recall Rev 4 to Rev 5. You can tie those revision changes to open orders. So if anyone here in this room or in this webinar knows that sometimes you're dealing with customers, you're halfway through a build of an assembly, and they give you a call and say, actually, we have new specs. I need you to bump up from Rev 4 to Rev 5 because you marry your revisions to their revisions, because this is an item that you make for them. Well, if that's the case, you need to maintain Rev 4 to Rev 5. You need to control and document those changes, and you need to update and impact the open orders that have Rev 4 out on the floor that need to change to Rev 5. So again, this is the pro of CTech, where you don't just have a revision management. You don't just have ECOs. You have that structure that overlaps nicely with production control and information flow down to the shop floor as well, right? Sam, do you have any follow-ups or thoughts, or does the group here have any follow-ups or thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I do have some follow-ups there. So I don't know if you are able to translate that for the electronics industry in terms of the kind of BOMs they have, the kind of products they have, overall from the product mix perspective. Even within electronics, you are going to have many, many, many different product types and industries, and the products that are designed for a specific industry type may not be the best fit for the other ones. So I would love to know where your sweet spot is. So for example, let's say, even if you look at the electronics manufacturing industry, so if you're going to have some of the commoditized product, right? They have very, very, very different design because they have to do a lot more inventory supply chain planning. And then you have very complex equipments, really big ones. They are going to have a little bit of project manufacturing, etc. So that is a very different ERP system than this. So where do you think your BOMs are far more aligned? Where are you more successful, I guess? Where your BOMs, they can really relate with your BOMs.
Great question. So it's not just the maintenance of the BOM itself. That part speaks very highly of electronics manufacturing. A few small things that really help here. When I maintain a bill of materials, I can input things like scrap, which is huge. Many of our customers within electronics manufacturing, whether it's wire harness, PCBA, generic box builds, whatever it may be, many times your components that you call out on a BOM will say, well, I need 10 inches of this thing. Well, on top of that, that when you build the item itself, you have some percentage to scrap that material out. So something as tiny as attrition or scrap, noting that on the bill of material will flow down to production and call out, no, operator, you don't just need to pick 10 inches of this material. You need to pick 11 inches because we have a 10% scrap rate. So that will call out the operator to easily know that I need to pull 11 inches of material. And then think of that at a larger scale across dozens and dozens or hundreds and hundreds of jobs that not only call out the bill of material quantity need, but the scrap needed. Now we need to make sure that the supply chain team and the buying team, they know that the amount of material that is anticipated to be consumed on the floor based on the BOM quantity and the attrition or the scrap quantity, that they need to know that because they need to know how much they anticipate to actually consume. That way they're buying more accurately. Or some of you in this room may have come across this as well, where you may not have that level of granularity. So the buyers look at what they have and they say, no, it looks like we have enough. But the operators go out there and say, no, we don't have any of this material because you weren't keeping track of scrap. Well, CTEC does a great job of manifesting and creating that from the very beginning in your BOM management. And that's a great, somewhat flow down, overarching, multiple departmental type workflow within CTEC.
Okay, so very interesting. So I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure, I mean, Scrap is probably going to be a functionality with 90% of the manufacturing
Hmm.
ERP systems that we know. And even
Hmm.
if they are not going to be dedicated to electronics, they are probably
Yep.
going to have that. So obviously, I am personally looking for slightly more unique elements that you have seen, in the electronics manufacturing. So here I can see one thing that is very different than what I would expect on a BOM, which is going to be
Hmm.
OEM part. So why do you have OEM part on this one? Is this something that you have seen with the electronics manufacturers used on the BOM? How it is used in your BOMs? I guess maybe touch on that.
Yeah, great question. I do want to highlight a few other things as well on top of that. Well, one being, the flexibility within CTEC does allow us to, not even within electronics manufacturing, flex within even that. So electronics manufacturers, you could be a wire harness manufacturer,
Yeah,
or you could be a print circuit board assembly manufacturer.
yeah,
Those two types of electronics manufacturing might operate completely different even within themselves. So an electronics manufacturer that's doing wire harness,
yeah.
they may care to have a source OEM part number because they care to maintain an internal part number in CTEC as well as an OEM part number, right? A wire harness manufacturer may care for that. Or a PCBA, a printed circuit board manufacturer, they may say, well, actually, we do keep an internal part number, but we also need to maintain AVLs, an approved vendor list. An
Okay,
approved vendor list is the groupings of components that say, I know I need COM-8100, but my customer said I can group together these three other manufacturer part numbers from three different suppliers or three different manufacturers, and I want to be able to call out on my BOM not just a single OEM part, but
yeah,
what CTEC calls a part spec group, which is simply I have a primary COM-8100, but I also care to unpack that even further and want to call out COM-8101, 8102, 8103, or what have you, right? So that's also very unique to electronics to be able to perform swaps, whether in purchasing or whether on the shop floor, because your customer allows you to operate under multiple manufacturer part numbers when building your BOM.
yeah. So very interesting. So I'll provide some translation here based on what we have seen, and then you
Hmm.
can provide some more clarifications there, I guess, if you want.
Hmm.
So generally, the swappable functionality that you have mentioned, that is done, manufacturing versus
Hmm.
buy or purchase, right? So you would swap that at the BOM level, and I don't know if you're swapping that here. Part of specification is a slightly different functionality, I guess, with the other ERP systems that we have seen. I don't know if it is similar to this. And then generally, when you look at the OEM part, that is captured at the part level as opposed to at the BOM level, because that is going to be slightly more procurement detail, right? Because that's when you are going to know the OEM part. I don't know if you have seen scenarios where sometimes you need to know that at the production level as well.
Hmm.
Have you seen that by any chance? Because generally, when I look at the
No,
BOM, I look at that
no,
more of the manufacturing detail, I guess, right?
no, you're right. So what to clarify there, the OEM part number here is a pull through from the BOM item master. If that's something you care to see and pull through, then you would certainly do that. If you didn't, then you'd be able to customize CTEC and say, well, we actually don't care to see OEM or the
Yeah.
preferred manufacturer there, so I'm just going to hide that. This is not a
Okay.
field that I care to maintain, right? Whereas the part spec, it is more of a grouping of parts. You
Yeah.
may think, or someone in this room may think, well, part specification is a different thing.
Yeah.
Just think of this as the name that CTEC calls it. We just call it a part grouping, a part
Yeah.
spec group, just allows you to perform those swaps, whether at purchasing or at the shop floor level.
Okay, very interesting. So I'm going to have some
Yep.
more questions there. So I don't
Yeah.
know whether you are familiar with the concept called item class or part class. Generally, a lot of ERP systems are going to have the grouping at that level because they are trying to consolidate a lot of different settings at that level. And then you have a concept called attribute group. And in my personal experience, I guess attribute group is going to be far more relevant for the electronics manufacturing industry. And the reason for that is because, let's say, if you go to spaces such as HVAC, with HVAC, the way they process their material is very different because they
Hmm.
are combining two different verticals. Number one is going to be your, obviously the electronics, because they are doing the PCB board manufacturing, but at the same time, they are also doing a lot of sheet metal. So I don't know if you have seen the combination of that. I don't know if you can support attribute groups. That will be good to know if you do that.
Yes, certainly. And most of our customers do categorize their item numbers based on those types of groups, right? And that's custom, certainly. Because again, a wire harness company, they might say, well, we don't deal with sheet metal at all, so that's not an attribute that we would care to see. Most of our customers embed those attribute groups to the part item, where WIR may stand for wire, like the pure wire itself, and COM may stand for the component part, right? You see COM here, WIR wire there, and the list goes on and on. I think I have some others here, for example, like raw as raw material, right? So you do have those attributes and those groupings, and all of the CTech ERP reporting can be built off of that as well. For example, show me all of my inventory on hand of wire components, or show me all of my inventory on hand of raw metal or raw steel or raw aluminum, whatever it is. So yes, absolutely. All of our customers have some varying degree of attributes. And then I'll do you one better. Many of our customers find themselves wanting custom fields for those attributes. They may say, well, I want to give a grouping of metal for my certain type of parts, but I also want each item master to have a custom field where I can choose from a drop down aluminum, copper, etc. In which case, CTech ERP supports very custom groupings and categorizations as well.
So very interesting. So I'm going to have one follow-up comment there, if you don't mind. So with respect to part numbers, and I don't know if people in the audience, they agree with me or not, but generally the default recommendation from the large majority of the ERP vendors is going to be, hey, don't make your part numbers intelligent. That used to be sort of a slightly more legacy approach where you had to supply intelligence in the part number, and you want to make sure you are decoupling as much as possible. But based on what you have shown, what is your recommendation? Your recommendation is that you should be coupling this, because in this case, I mean, there's going to be some intelligence, right? When you have the material embedded as part of your part number, that's what a lot of customers use that, but we don't like to see it as consultants, I guess, right? And that's the recommendation that we have heard from other ERP vendors as well. So what is your take and what is your position on that?
Yeah, we try to be malleable here. So not to give you a non-answer, but we have many customers that kind of float between all options. Many of our customers, yes, they do have an internal part number, yet they don't feel so shackled by some type of intelligence or over complication of the thing. So yes, create an internal part number, but because CTech is so centralized in all of its information, it's very easy to jump to a part item master. It's easy to see when the last time you created a part item similar. So there's really not a lot of issues day to day with an internal part number. Some of our customers, some of you in this room may even do this as well, where you decide, you know what, most of the things we make are for our customers, and our customers' items on their BOMs is the manufacturer part number. So we will just treat all of our part numbers as the manufacturer part number. And they won't even have an extra OEM field on their part because their part in CTech is the OEM part number. And they'll just say, the heck with it. It's easier to maintain manufacturer part number for purchasing, for part swaps, for inventory management, for picking and kitting onto work orders. So they may even pivot and use manufacturer part number. Others use the customer part number itself, and they just rely purely on whatever their customer says. So depending on the industry, depending on the type of work they're doing, whether it's repeat or contract manufacturing directly to customers, that is very dependent on how they would like to operate. So we try to be as flexible and malleable as we can there.
No, great points. And we have one question in the audience. I wanna touch on that, and I think that is very relevant for the electronics industry. So I think Dan is asking, do you have reference designators that I have seen in other ERPs? If so, where do you track it? And also, I like the OEM part, which is different. And I'll give you some context. I don't know if you are familiar with reference designators. Generally, with electronics industry, you are definitely going to need that, because inside operations on drawings itself, you are going to have a lot of demarcation, and operations alone would not be enough to be able to serve that functionality. That's why I think reference designators are far more important. So you are showing here, right? Tanner? Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, absolutely. So very easy to add reference designated to your BOM. Again, it is so funny doing electronics manufacturing, even different verticals and niches within electronics manufacturing. Some don't need them at all. Many do, right?
Yeah.
So this is a very easy thing to hide and show and to add or take away. So if that's something that's simple and manageable for your BOM, absolutely. And then I'll,
So
I'll I'll hit this other highlight here because I know this comes up often. Is
yeah.
I'm showing a preloaded bill of material. Know that within CTech, it's very easy to import a BOM from your customer, or many of our customers are using some type of CAD system like SolidWorks, which we can integrate directly to that as well. And you can just port over that BOM detail from your CAD system to CTech ERP directly.
Okay, so very interesting. So I'm going to have one follow-up
Mhm.
question on reference
Yeah.
designator, and I think he had some more, comments here. So we'll touch on those. So
Yep.
here, generally with reference designator, you are going to have sort of the many-to-one relationship, and you are going to have multiple materials that are tied to one work location. And the reason why you are able to do that is because your BOMs
Yep.
and work locations, they are sort of disconnected, right? And that's how you are able to manage that, right, Tanner?
Yep. That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
perfect. So we have some more here. I guess there
Mhm.
were some more elements on that question. So where do you track it? I think Dan, hopefully that answers your question. So they definitely
Yeah.
have at the BOM level, and I like the OEM part, which is different. So I think he's simply liking it. He does not have any
Mhm.
sort of questions there. Then if you have any follow-up questions, we would love to touch on those. So
Yep.
Tanner, over to you.
Yep, absolutely. So the big idea here is we've focused on the bill of materials, we've focused on the BOM, we've focused on the aspects of the BOM. The other component to this as well is yes, the bill of material structure, but it's also the prerequisite for the production side of the house, which is the labor plan. So recall, let me go to a familiar page that we've been sitting on just to reground ourselves here. Is yes, I do have a bill of materials per item and a bill of materials per revision on that item. And I have what we call a labor plan as well. Now, the labor plan is that traveler and router in anticipation of production. And this is usually the type of thing that you work with multiple team members on. You know, you have like an engineering expert who builds out the BOM and maybe like a production expert that plans out where on the shop floor this will go. So my labor plan in CTech is meant to do many things. It's meant to be a precursor for production where I will tell CTech when I make this item, particularly revision 4, I need to go to the warehouse, assembly, wire cutting, crimping, soldering, heat shrinking, cable tie, quality, labeling area, and shipping. Those are my 10 steps. That's where it should go on the shop floor. Those, of course, are highly customizable. Those are just my examples for today. I also tell CTech, I think when I get to the warehouse, it will take 30 minutes at the warehouse. Now, this is critical. This is huge. This is one of the somewhat foundations or the pillars of CTech, and it is indicative of how we operate as a company. Is this 30-minute estimate serves multiple purposes. One is it will help me plan for how long I think it'll be at the warehouse so I can do some capacity planning later on down the line. The second thing it'll do is it'll help me plan for my cost estimating as well. You, as someone who would use CTech ERP, you input labor rates for your employees and for each one of these work centers. And you would tell CTech, well, at the warehouse, we pay those people $15 an hour. When they log into CTech ERP, which they would do on a shop floor tablet, they could scan into the work order. I'll show that in a moment.
Yeah.
They jump into the work order, they log their time, but I think it'll take them 30 minutes. So I'm going to estimate that it'll be about $7.50. And then on top of that, we also track what's called the overhead rate, where the overhead rate is similar to like a burden rate for the facility, that I have a $5 an hour burden rate at the same time they're logging to warehouse, for example, in which case 750 and my 250 get me my $10. So even in one small example here, we're seeing the inklings of a centralized ERP system that overlaps engineering and planning and accounting, where we want the accounting team to know what was our actual cost on a job. This is what we're estimating. We think it'll be 30 minutes and these X amount of dollars. And when we throw this on the shop floor and we print paperwork or we assign it digitally to the folks on the warehouse floor to pick parts, we'll have them track time and see how long it takes them. Extrapolate that to every single location on my router, on my labor plan, and we'll see a full job and full job cost estimating and comparing that to our job cost actuals on the shop floor. Right.
So very interesting. So a couple of observations there. So number
Yep.
one, buffer. I think that's a little newer for me. So why would you have buffer? Is that being used in the electronics industry? What is the role of that?
Yeah,
That's
great question. This is just extra capacity planning, saying, well, I know it'll take them 30 minutes,
yeah,
but we know that that sits at warehouse for 2 days for any
yeah,
particular reason. So it
yeah.
just helps plan out and truly, sorry to be on the nose, it buffers out the entire timeline of what you anticipate your entire labor plan would be.
Okay, interesting. And that cannot be
Yep.
handled using setup and other variables that you have. You need extra buffer there along
It
with your.
is, it is, yeah, the beauty and the and, right? So you do a combination of setup
Yeah,
as a true setup. Like I have some
yeah,
machine setup, for
yeah,
example, and then some runtime, right? But that's operational level where you anticipate people to log time. But even on top of that, we have a unique spot to say, well, let's also plan for 2 days buffer or 2 hours
yeah.
buffer or 12 hours buffer, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, so very
Yep,
interesting. And
great
I
question.
don't think I've
Yep.
seen recurring as well. Why would you have recurring, I guess? And what use cases have you seen where this is being used and if that might be relevant to electronics manufacturing?
Yeah, absolutely. So say you're a PCBA house and you have multiple SMT lines
Yeah,
and you get to route your job over to an SMT line, not assembly, but let's say this is called SMT. And it
yeah,
gets there and the shop floor engineers, they look at all the instructions, the BOM, the things that they need, and
yeah,
they'll say, okay, well, I've got to set up this machine. And it takes them 2 hours just for setup,
yeah.
regardless if they're making 2 boards or 200 boards through that machine.
Okay,
So they would say, well, it takes 2 hours to do setup. And then for each board, I have a 2 minutes per board recurring time. This will help you scale up and down how long you think something will take. It'll
yeah.
also help you scale up and down the estimate time for each one of those things that you make as well.
Okay, interesting. So that would be variable cost, and generally variable cost is accounted as the labor rate, as far as my understanding goes, in the other ERP system because they are not going to have recurring. So, which is very interesting.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Because again, recall the intent is, which we'll see here in a moment,
yeah,
is I want to actually put this on an order on the shop floor, and I
yeah,
want my people to clock into this work order through
yeah,
either a tablet or a laptop or a shared kiosk station, and I
yeah,
want them to track time at each one of these stations. And then moreover, you can get very specific if you'd like to.
yeah.
And you can say, well, at this station, I want to give them work instructions and I want to embed images for them too. I want to
I
do like
love
a
this one.
drag and drop of an image to
This is
show
awesome.
what they should see on the shop floor, whether on paper or on a tablet.
This is
Yeah,
this is really good. I really appreciate this. Personally, I mean, I would appreciate if I were actually following this order. To be completely honest, so great job
yep,
there.
that's
One
exactly
more
right.
follow up question. So my expectation would be that I generally like to see, let's say, back flush. I don't know if you're familiar with the term, back flushing. So generally, that is going to be at the operations level. Do you have that
Hmm.
capability? If it is it at the operation level, or how is that related with everything else?
But can you define back flushing? Are you saying in the sense of inventory back flushing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
generally, the intent of back flushing is going to be that you don't want your workers to clock those transactions, and you want that to be auto issued. And I don't know if you have the real concept of issuing a receipt, and sometimes some ERP systems don't have that. But when you are going to be doing the real issue and receipt, and when you talk about regulated industries, obviously you are going to have, I don't know, if you are going to have lot numbers and serial numbers. I think you are very particular about possession and serial number as well. So while doing that, you need to have that, and then you are going to have default serial number and lot number strategy that you need to have for the back flushing to work.
You do exactly. And if we can make a bit of a jump here,
Yeah,
let's go look at an order and let's take all these things that we've talked about
yeah,
and let's refocus them to the production side. So we've somewhat primed this pump a little bit, right? Where
yeah.
I have this part item, but it does go on an order. Now,
Okay.
before I even do that, it'd be remiss if I didn't mention that CTech does have quoting features. So for
Okay.
those of you that actually quote customers, for example, Austin Electronics, I want to
Yeah,
create a quote and I want to quote out 5 units.
yeah,
I want to get my cost for 5 units, come up with some resale and so forth. And I want to tell CTech, I want to quote 5 units to this customer, right?
yeah.
We have those features. So you can certainly do that. Many of our customers, they're not doing quoting and they just do straight to order entry. So they'll skip this whole quoting process and go straight to an open order. where now they just have an order in the system as opposed to a quote. So it's completely up to you how you want to operate. We're extremely flexible there, right? Now, as you mentioned, these orders in the system, they serve the purpose of both a sales order to the customer, maintaining a customer PO, even maintaining some accounting pieces. If you're a team that requires prepayments or down payments, you can even integrate your accounting team to process a down payment here, but I'll digress on that. What we do understand, though, is I have an order, and this order to the customer is also a work order. It's a job. It's something that I want to process on the shop floor.
Yeah.
So let's envision now we are operators, and we are folks that need to look at this work order, right? Now, if I want to log into CTech and look at this work order that the sales team entered, I have an easy production module that I can go look at the production order list, and I can open up the job router and traveler, and I can see all of that in CTech. Now, please take it with a grain of salt. I understand that I'm skipping a lot of process steps here, but let's just jump to the conclusion that we've released a work order to the shop floor. They can log into CTech. They can see their job as well. And let's just jump to that job, right?
Okay.
This is what the operators see. They are also using CTech. They look at their work order. They status the work order to all those locations. Notice this job is currently status to this crimping location. Notice the operator can look at those instructions and those images on the shop floor as well. Notice those operators can start and stop time. They can clock in and clock out and simply click start work in order to get their timer going of how long it takes to do that thing, right? Now, that is taking the BOM detail, all the specificity of what it takes to make the item, the estimates on all those details, and transferring that to a work order so that we can actually walk through production and engineering side by side, right? Now, Sam, to your question, yes, absolutely. The operators, they log into CTech and they start and stop work. Now, the people who are responsible for picking and pulling material, they also use CTech. They also jump into this same screen and they look at their work orders. They just happen to go to the picking screen. And they just happen to say, okay, well, let me go pick parts off the shelf. And that's how we transpire the bill of material detail, paste it onto the pick list effectively, and say, okay, great, you need to go pull material off the shelf. Well, go take this part item master, go see that you need 5 of them, and go walk over to your bin named locations on the shop floor and go pull 5 of those off the shelf, right? So now we've taken that BOM, we've called out that we need 5 of these pieces, and now the operator on the floor, or rather the picking, kitting warehouse folks on the floor, have walked by and they've pulled 5 off the shelf, and I've issued those to the job. I have not backflushed them yet, but I've issued them into WIP onto the job, right?
Okay, great. So I can see a lot of different things, which is very powerful, actually. So you have bin functionality, you have lot code, which is amazing, and you have bin revision as well, I guess. That's very interesting. And I think all of those are probably going to be used, especially when you are going to have a lot of inventory items in slightly more commoditized space, then you are going to need that. The question I'm going to have, it's a very interesting observation. I don't know. I've never seen that before, so I'm probably going to ask the question. So whenever I'm seeing any sort of quantity field, you have quantity and unit of measure bundled as part of the same field. So are they generally, do they go together when you specify, let's say, quantity? This is just one field, I guess, so that's not editable as far as my understanding goes. But let's say if you are going to have different unit of measure, is that not decoupled from quantity? Is that always together? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's actually paired to the item master itself. So this item has a unit of measure that we just happen to display in other areas of the platform. So I could click on this item and see that we've defined it as an each item, in which case someone would see that I need to pull 5 each of those items as opposed to 5 inches or 5 feet. And we just like to show that in different areas where the inventory makes sense. Some of our customers do maintain multiple unit of measures, but really there's one unit of measure for consumption, which in this case is each. Imagine if my unit of measure is inches, but I buy it by the foot. Well, you can input a purchase unit of measure at the part item master too. You can buy 20 feet of material, but when it's time to receive it into inventory, we would do a translation of feet to inches for you if you decided to do that. So yes, to answer your question, we maintain that at the part item master level, but we do a
Yeah.
great job of flexing that where it makes the most sense.
Yeah, so it's great. I mean, and I don't know if you are going to have a chance to show us the part master as well. I think we have seen BOM and we have seen, sales order as well. It'll be interesting to
Mhm.
see the part master, how that is captured. I don't know if you have that plan, but I would love to see that too.
The funny thing is it's quite simple because
Yeah.
it's not drastically different than the BOM item master. It's just trimming down some information. It's simply just a web page. It is
Yeah.
simply here's your part, here's your
Yeah.
description, here's your unit of measure. The thing that really matters here is
Yeah.
all of this information is transferred over to the BOMs where they are used.
Yeah.
It is translated into the inventory on the shelf.
Yeah.
It is related to the receipt history of when I purchased the item. So the
Yeah.
item master is really not spectacular. What's spectacular is the overlaid nature to this item master is on a BOM. That BOM is on an order.
Yeah.
So that item master is on the order itself too. So that's really the thing that comes alive here is all of this metadata that most of the people we see looking for ERP, all this stuff is just in different siloed areas
Yeah.
or Excel spreadsheets or different platforms altogether. But because we're one big system, we just elegantly overlay it to all the areas where this information needs to be shown, right?
Yeah. No, this is great. This is great. Thank you so much for
Yep.
showing that. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Some of the fundamental things that happen here as well in terms of pulling the material is we do a great job of also rolling all of this up to reports. I'm in a vacuum. I'm pretending someone on the shop floor with a laptop or a tablet walking around pulling things out of bins A-10-5 or A-4-3. But what really happens is the management team, they can really just run to a WIP material report and say, show me all of my inventory that is picked and issued onto work orders. Again, not yet backflush because, as many of the folks in this room may know, you may overissue to a job. If there's a reel of components, for example, you may overissue to a job and find yourself at the end needing to dekit and using like a counter in
Yeah.
order to dekit and count the parts appropriately. So be mindful that CTech is allocating the material, issuing the material to the job, but it's not until the job is complete will we then backflush the inventory, right?
Yeah, so very interesting. So some follow-up
Yep.
question, I guess, on the part master. So I did not notice any sort of classes there. Do you have a concept of class, item classes, item groups by any chance? Do you have that?
Yeah, we tossed this around a minute ago, and maybe we just talked past each other on terminology, right?
Yeah.
I tell people a lot that a lot of my job is playing like Rosetta Stone of sorts, where it's like, okay, you call it this, but we call it that. So
And
yeah,
then you're
CTech
really
does,
good at that.
yeah. So exactly. Uh, if you have a type of part classes, CTech would call that the PRC or the product code, where
Okay.
this is your part number here, and the PRC is the product code, COM, WIR, and so on and so forth. Notice here's your inches of wire, right, that's
Yeah.
being pulled. Now, again, this is very flexible and very customizable there. If you have additional classes or additional variables, you can customize the part item masters to add more of that for sure.
Yeah, so very interesting. So I don't know if we are able to see what is captured at the part code level. It'll be interesting to see which information is being captured at that level.
At the part item master level?
At the product code level.
Yeah.
So COM IO device, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a simple table of what would you like to classify your PRCs or your
Yeah.
product codes as.
Yeah.
What is that quick 3-digit code? What quick descriptions do you want to give? And then there's some other disregard all this accounting detail. CTech does a great job of relaying part classes to very particular GL codes on your chart of accounts and in your ledger. Please, we don't need to be buried within ledger detail today, but just know that the flexibility is as many PRCs or product codes or classes as you'd like,
Yeah.
giving them variable descriptions, associating them to all your part numbers as well.
Yeah, no, great. I mean, I was actually looking for those accounting details, to be completely honest. So thank you so much for showing that as well.
Yeah, that's funny. You end up walking into a world. I know we're rolling through time here, but you end up walking into a world with CTech where you open this one door about product codes, and then you're thinking, "Whoa, what's this GL detail about?"
I know.
Oh my goodness. Okay, now that CTech is so tightly integrated,
Yeah.
we are now all of our departments, all of our team members finally feel like we're rowing the same boat, going in the same direction, as opposed to accounting is juggling their work and production's juggling their work and inventory and part master engineering is juggling their work, and nigh shall they all meet. Well, in CTech, it is all one system. It is all elegantly tracked through a BOM revision detail to the production floor, to inventory, through product codes, through to the accounting mechanism behind the scenes as well. When we start to pick material, when we start to log time, all of that again is very, very elegant and wraps up all of your departments in one place.
Okay, amazing. So right now we just have 3 minutes. I don't know if you have any new questions from the audience, guys. I mean, this is your chance, opportunity. Obviously, Tanner is very knowledgeable, and we want to make sure that we are able to get all of our questions answered. So fire away if you have anything. And Tanner, obviously, I want to give this opportunity to you as well. I know that you had very fancy demo that you wanted to cover and that you could not cover. But I mean, we are going to make this as more of the Disney movie, right? We are going to start the movie at the point when they are going to be excited for the next show. So we are probably going to do in the next one, I guess, because we'll not be able to cover that today. But this is your chance. I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts that you wanted to cover that you were not able to cover. So you have 2 minutes. Or if you want to show anything.
Exactly. Yeah, if I had 8 hours, I would not show everything to you all. I wouldn't have the time. CTech is a fantastic system for electronics manufacturers, those that need high levels of control, detail of all of your departments in one place. The value of CTech is very, very high. I would love if any of you would like to schedule a customized demo with our team where we could walk you through more of the platform, unpack some of these details, answer more of your questions, cover more of the accounting, cover more of the production scheduling and capacity, cover more of things that we didn't even sniff, like tool tracking and maintenance. Oh my goodness, how many people track that externally for ISO purposes but can't do that in their ERP? That is just one micro example of dozens upon dozens upon dozens. So we at CTech, we're very proud of our product. We've put a lot of effort and time into it. We're continuing to grow it. And we would be very excited to show you the platform at any time in any type of customized demo way. If you want to reach out to us directly, we're happy to do that as well.
Okay, perfect. So we do have one question from the audience, and we want to make sure that we are covering that. So the question is, in terms of scrap, I understand that it is being set up before, but what is the way to update it later once we manufacture the PCBA and gather more data? So I think he's talking about more actual clocking of scrap. So I don't know how that would be done. I guess maybe you want to touch on that, Tanner.
Yeah, that's an easy one because at the shop floor level, you've already been issued the kit of materials. You run the reel through the machine and realize, oh my gosh, we used 127 more pieces because we have a counter there for some reason. Well, in CTech, you can have your operators at the shop floor level go in and they can mark down scrap and say, well, actually, I used 77 more of this part. So I'm going to issue this as scrap and say, yes, I pulled this down because the machine pulled more. Or after the job, if you do your counter, you can pick more to the job as well. So many areas, just depending on the exact circumstance, we do a great job of letting you mark scrap even afterward. Of course, as you mentioned, you can plan for scrap, but what ends up happening in reality may be different. Right?
Yeah, so great. And I guess, big shout out for, Tanner, to you as well as for the CTech team. I guess, you had a comment about easiness, and I don't think anything is going to be hard for Tanner. So good job there.
Thank you.
Obviously, these are very difficult questions, and sometimes it's very hard to think on the fly. So we are close to our time right now. I don't know if you're going to have any other closing thoughts, advice, anything that you want to share, Tanner, before we wrap?
No, I'm grateful for everyone's time today. Again, feel free to reach out to us, CTech ERP. Find us online. I'm sure all this is shared as well. All the links to our website. If you do reach out and go to our website and request a demo, call for my name in particular, just in the little comments there, and then I'll be sure to meet you and reach out, and we can schedule a one-on-one demo if you'd like.
Perfect. And guys, do check out, because I do find CTech team very knowledgeable. In general, they know what they are doing, which is what I appreciate generally in the ERP vendor. So thank you so much, Tanner, as well as the CTech team. And I don't know, Tanner, if you're going to be open, follow Tanner, follow folks
Absolutely.
from CTech team, engage on their social posts. They are amazing. They have really good content. On that note, thank you so much, everybody, for dialing in. Again, we meet every Friday, roughly around 11 a.m. So stay tuned. Subscribe to our newsletter if you want to know about our future webinars. On that note, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We are grateful for your time as well as attention.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.